I never thought reality could break. You hear about glitches, déjà vu, time loops, but you never think you'll actually see one. When I say I clipped out of bounds in real life, I don't mean that figuratively. I mean that 1 second, I was walking home from work and the next, the ground under me stopped existing. I had my phone recording because I'd been vlogging short clips for fun, just little day-in-the-life stuff, never realizing that one of those recordings would end up as found footage. I remember the sound before the fall more than the feeling the streetlight buzzing. That harsh electric hum that never stops but you only notice when it's too quiet. Then the world just folded, like paper bending the wrong way. I fell through the sidewalk. I don't even remember hitting the ground. It was like falling through water that never ends, and then suddenly being somewhere I wasn't supposed to be. The first thing I noticed was the color. Everything was yellow, not bright or cheerful, but the sick, stained yellow of old wallpaper soaked in something that shouldn't exist. The air buzzed with a low drone, like every fluorescent light in the world was vibrating at once. The room stretched forever, an endless maze of repeating walls and damp carpet. It smelled like mold and electricity. My phone said it was still Tuesday, same time as when I fell, but there was no signal. No sounds, except my footsteps and that horrible hum. It wasn't silence, it was the kind of sound that fills silence until you wish for noise, any noise, just to feel alive again. I thought maybe I'd fallen into some abandoned building, but when I turned back, the hallway behind me had changed. The walls were closer, the stains were different, and the air felt colder, like something had just moved through it a second before I did. I tried to stay calm. I tried to make sense of it. I remember saying out loud, "This has to be a dream." The recording picked it up. The shaky voice, the nervous laugh that wasn't really laughter. I kept walking, marking the walls with my keys so I wouldn't get lost. But after 5 minutes, the marks were gone. The wall was smooth again, as if it had healed. That's when I started realizing this wasn't a building. It was something alive. I don't mean with veins or blood, but with awareness. Like the place itself was observing me, waiting for something. Every corner felt like a test. I heard faint whispers sometimes, right at the edge of hearing, soft, breathy murmurs that almost sounded like my name, but never quite finished. Sometimes they laughed, too. Sometimes I laughed back because silence was worse. My flashlight flickered every few seconds, not like the battery was dying, but like it didn't want to show me what was in the shadows. After a while, I found a doorway. It looked the same as every other wall until you got close and saw the outline. A thin slit of darker yellow. It opened into another hallway, longer, narrower, and this time the hum was replaced by dripping water. The floor was slick, and the ceiling hung lower. I could see the reflection of my light bouncing off the puddles, but when I stepped forward, the reflection didn't match my movement. It was still walking, even after I stopped. I turned the camera toward it, but the reflection had already gone still, staring straight back at me. That's when the whisper came from right behind my shoulder. A quiet, almost curious voice that said, "Keep going." I turned, but there was nothing there, just more of that yellow light and that endless, sickly smell. I don't remember how long I walked. My phone battery stayed at 50%, no matter how much time passed. Sometimes it would glitch to 90, then 5, then back. I thought maybe I was hallucinating. Then maybe this was what a panic attack felt like when stretched across eternity. I started leaving my bag open, dropping random things, coins, a pen, my ID card just to see if I'd circle bike. I did. Every time. No matter which direction I turned, I ended up right where I started, standing over my own footprints that never faded. I began hearing footsteps that weren't mine. They were slower, heavier, deliberate, and when I stopped, they didn't. They kept walking for a few seconds more, then stopped right behind me. I recorded the sound once it's still on my phone, but when I play it back, there's nothing there except static and my own breathing. At some point, I found a staircase. It led down into total darkness. I didn't want to go, but staying up there was worse. The air upstairs had started to feel thick, like breathing underwater. So, went down. Each step creaked, even though there was nothing under it to creak on. The deeper I went, the colder it became, until I could see my breath fogging the air. I don't know how far down I went, hundreds of steps, maybe thousands. The buzzing above faded until I could only hear my heartbeat and something faint and rhythmic in the dark ahead. When my light finally hit the bottom, I saw a door. Wooden. Out of place. Carved into it were the words, "Re-enter." My hands were shaking so badly that the camera barely captured it, but I had to open it. I had to know if it led home. When I stepped through, I was standing back on my street. It looked the same at first. Same cracked pavement. Same flickering street light, humming the same tone, but the air was different. Colder. Still. I walked home, but no one looked at me. The cars moved, the people walked, but none of them noticed I was there. I shouted at a man passing by. He didn't even flinch. I waved in front of his face. Nothing. My phone showed full signal now, full battery, but every photo I took came out blurry. I thought maybe I'd gone invisible, but then I saw my reflection in a shop window and it smiled before I did, just a half-second earlier, but enough to make my stomach drop. I ran back home, locked the door, and replayed the footage from the other world. But the files had changed. The timestamp now said it was Wednesday. 2 weeks later, my camera app showed thumbnails of videos. I didn't take videos of me sleeping, walking, standing in hallways that don't exist in my house. Every night since then, I hear the hum again. It comes through the walls, low and steady, like a heartbeat under the floor. Sometimes I catch movement in my peripheral vision, a flicker of yellow where there shouldn't be any. Once, when I checked the mirror, there were two of me, one a few inches behind the other, moving just out of sync. I don't sleep much anymore. I think the version of me that came back isn't really me. The other one, the one that smiled wrong, it's still out there, wandering those endless halls, waiting for me to glitch again so it can take my place completely. And every now and then, when the lights flicker just right, I see that same yellow wallpaper bleeding through the cracks of reality, like it's trying to remind me where I belong. If this footage ever finds its way online, don't look for me. Don't look for the place. Sometimes, when you stare too long at the corners of your room, you'll notice the texture shimmer, just slightly, like the world's rendering is off. If that ever happens, don't touch it. Don't go near it. Stay in bounds. Stay where the world wants you. Because once you fall through, you don't climb back up. You just keep falling into new layers of something that remembers you too well. I think that's what happened to me. I didn't escape. I just traded one simulation for another, a cleaner one that almost hides the seams, but they're still there, waiting, humming, calling my name when the night goes quiet. And sometimes, if I listen close enough, I can hear my own voice answering from the other side. And if you think you can stop watching, no, don't. The story doesn't end here. It's still moving. It's still spreading. Click the next video. Keep the lights on. And whatever you do, don't look behind you while it plays.